Now that Claire's decided to give up modern luxury and stay in Scotland, the two are heading back to Lallybroch. Now Claire's officially a lady. As they're riding back to Lallybroch, Claire tells Jamie about airplanes, and of course he is fascinated. And then he tells her about his time in prison with Blackjack Randall. His story's not as whimsical as Claire's. He tells her about the day they came and beat him at his house, and then he lets Claire in on another secret.
But Randall had got Jenny, my bastard child.
Dougal told him that his sister had given birth to Randall's bastard. So the first thing that happens when they ride up to Jamie's house is that a little boy comes out and says that his name is Jamie. And Jenny runs out of the house to see her brother, who she hasn't seen in 4 years, and confirms that the child is actually named Wee Jamie. And then he calls the little boy Randall's bastard right to the kid's face. At which point Big Sister has had enough, and she offers to grab his balls and get him in line. Are sisters even allowed to do that? Thankfully, Ian walks up and lets Jamie know that the child and the one Jenny is carrying are actually his. And Jamie's okay with this because, after all, he's friends with Ian. The other not-so-nice thing that happens when Jamie and Claire come up to the house is that Jenny calls her an English whore. Geez, Jenny, cut her some slack. She just avoided being burned to death at the witch trial. As the four sit down to talk and catch up, Jenny recounts her encounter with Blackjack Randall, and everyone is horrified, but at least comforted that Blackjack didn't actually violate her. And while they're rebuilding their interpersonal relationships, Jamie's also having to learn how to be the Laird of Lallybroch. He makes some missteps, like not collecting rent from his tenants, and he's trying to be nice, but seriously, how are they supposed to keep the estate going if they have no money? There's also a scene where Claire comes to the defense of another helpless child. I think she's becoming the DSS of Scotland. And as she finds out the child has been beaten, Jamie acts like nothing is a big deal, but later takes his dad out with his fists. Jenny's not happy with how the situation is handled, and she just can't come to grips with her brother being in charge now. And who can blame her? She's been in charge for all these years. And now for the scenes that really stood out from this episode. Jenny's telling her brother the story of what really happened with Blackjack Randall. First of all, I can't believe they actually showed us his private part. That was shocking. And when she talks about laughing through his attempt to assault her, and how he couldn't actually do the deed, you see the bravery and sheer brilliance that is Jenny Fraser. Jamie telling Claire about the second beating. Jamie is upset because his father died while watching him be beat to death. He goes on to tell Claire that Dougal and his father were there to watch the whole thing, and then when his dad thought he was dead, he just dropped like a stone. But here's where it gets interesting. Jamie actually feels guilt over his father's death. He feels like he shouldn't have gotten beaten and then his dad wouldn't be dead. But his other option was being raped by Captain Blackjack Randall, and he knew that wouldn't make his dad happy either. And so he took the beating instead, and then his dad dies. The other great scene is when Jamie gets in the water to fix the mill. And Jenny comes rushing over to Jamie and Claire to warn them about the redcoats coming. She's kind of the Paul Revere of Scotland. Anyway, Jamie stays under the water for an incredibly long time while the ladies talk to the redcoats, and then they eventually leave. The best part is when Jamie comes up out of the water and he's got nothing on. Jamie and Jenny find peace. Jamie and Jenny have been working through their relationship, but finally they find peace together at his father's grave. While she blames herself for Jamie being beaten and almost killed, he blames himself for his father's death. But what the two realize is that neither one of them are to blame. That is all Blackjack Randall's fault. At the end of the show, Jamie is declaring his undying love for Claire and how they're just meant to be. And then they leave us with an insane cliffhanger, which is Jamie having a gun pointed at his head. And then they just leave us like that for another week. I was gonna watch either way without this kind of torment.